Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Modifiers and this is Crusader of the Confederation, a mod for Crusader Kings 2 that is quite excellent. Now this mod was started to be built, I think in like early 2013. I might be wrong when it comes to the years, don't worry too much about it. It was later abandoned, and I think it was also abandoned a bit because Stellaris came out in 2016 and people said, hey, are you drunk? Why are you doing a Crusader Kings mod in space? Are you out of your mind? But it turns out that Stellaris isn't quite the same experience as Crusader Kings. Crusader Kings is focused on characters, on storytelling, on roleplay. It is focused on everything that makes up a character and their impact on the world, but also the world's impact on that character, whereas Stellaris is a lot of modifiers, some roleplaying, and mostly just nation building. Stellaris is an amazing game. I very much enjoyed. Honestly, Stellaris is like what I really want out of a space game. There are so many other space games that are just essentially, you know, hey, why don't you conquer the entire world? Stellaris, in a very good way, I think, is a mix between 4X and Grand Strategy, but it is not Crusader Kings in space. And so people came together after a while and said, you know what, we might be drunk, but let's get together and pick up this mod for Crusader Kings that is in space. And they picked it up again. This is for version 3.3.3. And as you can see, it works. It works quite alright. There are some bugs, there are some oversights. I'll be honest with you, when I play this mod, I struggle with everything military because I can't quite tell what is better and what is worse. To actually learn it, I would have to sit down and do the maths when it comes to the actual units and how exactly they interact with. And because of that, most of the time I just go into a fight and I just perish. Like, that is mostly my experience when it comes to combat, but beyond that, I really love the idea, and that is also exactly the explanation for why we're here today, why I'm talking about this mod, and why you are seeing Crusader of the Confederation. Since the mod does work again, there is obviously a team working on this mod, and since there's a team working on this mod, what I want to do with this video is remind all of you that this mod exists, so that the mod team knows that people appreciate it. So maybe that they sit down and do this mod for CK3. I'll be honest with you, when I look at this mod, I see so many things, I see so many aspects of it that make me wonder, you know what, wouldn't this work so much better with the moddable GUI, with the tenets, with the religions, with so many other things, with the cultural innovations that are implemented in CK3. I would adore seeing this mod, especially with the existing universe as it is built in this modification here in CK3. So essentially this is just me shilling for a mod that I want to see in CK3 in the hope that I can participate in making it happen, although I wouldn't be one of the people that build it. Now there are two bookmarks, so let's get actually into this game. This is more a showcase, by the way, than it is a playthrough or anything else. I just thought to myself I really want to show off this mod. You have two bookmarks, and as you can see right here, Crisis of the Confederation and the Orion League. It's the same scenario, so it's the year 2998, and then you have Imperium Fractum and Warlords, and as you can see, the Terran Confederation is simply gone, and with the Terran Confederation gone, of course, there's a bit of a civil war ensuing. Now, I don't really want to talk about all that stuff. What I want to show off are some of the more unique mechanics. You don't really need to know anything about the world, by the way, to properly play in it. You just need to kind of start interacting with it. We are going to play in the 3008 start date, and we're going to play good old Overseer Victoria of Chalice. Why? Well, you will see that here in a second. There's some amazing lore attached to this character. I don't know whether this is fully original as a universe, I have no idea. I don't know whether this is not original at all, but what I can tell you is that I love what they did it. So we are Overseer Victoria Chalice, and we have a daughter, and Victoria, well, coincidence, right? She's also called Victoria. Our mother was called Victoria, and everybody appears to be called Victoria. What's going on here? Oh, it turns out we are simply clones from the original Victoria, Grand Admiral Victoria I, because we are biodirectionists. We believe that we should simply guide evolution by creating clones that are better. You know, look at that, she was quick, and then we went on here, and all of a sudden, let me just skip through these, all of a sudden we end up with geniuses that are also attractive. So we just became better over time, but we are practically and technically speaking still somewhat the same person. And yet we are no longer in control of Avalon, which was, of course, what the old Victoria was in charge. That is because King Arthur Pendragon of Avalon has risen. I love the lore of this mod so much. He is also a clone, and he himself says that he was created from the genetic material of the original Arthur Pendragon, the king of the Britons. But he is not a biodirectionist. He is a neo-feudalist, because at some point in the north of the world, the people here decided, hey, you know what, being a count, being a duke, being a king or an emperor, those are really cool things. I want to be part of that. So they went on and became neo-feudalists. That is just one of the few, or one of the many examples, I should say, that I can give you for this mod having amazing lore that is very, very similar, in my opinion, when it comes to the depth in After the End. But After the End has the benefit of not taking itself overly serious. It does take itself serious. The world in itself makes a modicum of sense everywhere. Wherever you look, even the more ridiculous things, they make sense to a certain degree. For example, you know, the Norse Vikings rising up in the area of the Great Lakes. That happens because you have football stadiums that are gigantic and look like temples. I can get it. Is it ridiculous? Oh, absolutely, but it still works. And in the same way, we have King Arthur of Avalon saying that he is a clone of the legendary Arthur Pendragon. Is he? I mean, I can't disprove it, but he kicked me off my throne and now is a neo-feudalist. I love the lore and I want to keep that alive. I think that is huge, but it's not just that lore. You can see there's a lot of love in these individual new traits. Cold, radical, you can see that I am a clone, which, you know, clearly designates that I am a clone. And let me just give myself some cash here. I got some more money, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show off here how you get a clone. Just to clone yourself, you pay 100 bucks, and then when you pay 100 bucks, it takes you 9 months until you actually get a clone. So let's just wait a second here. I just wanna get that clone in a bit. You see all of these different mechanics. There's so much work. I'm serious. The problem of this mod, and I want to highlight this because when you open this mod, you might run into this issue. You might say, wow, One Proud Barbarian really gave a horrible piece of advice to me to play this mod because it's not fun, it's broken, and it's buggy, and I hate it. And you're not wrong. But I would still advise you to play this mod, because as much as the UI and some of the more nebulous mechanics of CK2 hinder this mod and actually being amazing, that is something that can, you know, be gotten rid of in CK3, because modding the GUI is much more active and much more of a real opportunity in CK3. So all I'm really saying here is when you see all of these decisions, obviously they are very... You know, they're kind of just thrown in here. You get a bit scared when you look at it, because you look at this. First of all, the colors are, of course, a bit hideous, no offense, but it just doesn't mesh well to have this greenish blue and then to have a green bluish arrow. That's just like, or check mark, I want to say. It just doesn't work well. But besides all of this, could be its own interface in CK3. So what I'm saying is make this mod in CK3. If we go for a decree menu, this game presents us, or rather this mod presents us with something that I find outstanding, because essentially governments in CK2, remember, there's tribal, there's nomadic, there's merchant republic, there's feudal, and there's Icta. And then theocratic, of course, but you can't play those. And then landless, I guess. But that's it. And once you're in a government mode, it's very unlikely that you're going to change it unless you change religion, unless you advance from tribal to feudal, those sort of things. But it is not very common, it is not very normal that you are going to be changing your government. In this game, in this mod, it is something that you can simply do if you reform your empire in a certain way, if you have a certain amount of prestige, if you have a certain amount of aspiration. This mod is revolutionary, as far as I'm concerned, when it goes to governments. And it's even more revolutionary than CK3. I'll just say it. I think CK3 does a lot of things right. It is very revolutionary about a couple of things, but it is not very revolutionary about its governments, in the sense that this one, for example, knows the differences, you know, between a feudal monarchy and a monarchy that is, you know, I mean, well, anything else. Let me see if I can find any here. I think we might be unlucky. I don't think there are other monarchies, but what we can point out without a doubt is you can see the Liberal Republic has a huge number of modifiers, a huge number of different privileges that will be possible for it, right? And then you have a corporate republic right over here, and that one has way different modifiers. These governments feel very unique, and you can shift between them depending on what your character does. That is something that CK2 didn't do, and that is something that CK3 also did not do. So essentially that is one of the highlights in this mod for me. I really just want to talk about that, because I think if we get any modder that creates something that is this transitionary, that allows you to transition through it instead of just having tribal to feudal, instead of just having this two-step sort of thing. If we get something that is as flexible as this system, even though this system is hindered again by its UI, but that is a CK2 issue, I would be so happy. So like that again is why I am, you know, spreading propaganda for this mod, because I just love the idea of what this mod tries to do. Now, this lady here, of course, we are cloning it currently, but beyond that, of course, we could also implement some cybernetics if we had a cybernetics lab. There is actually a religion here that cares about cybernetics, and you can see it right here. Nope, you're just cautious. Let me see. Can we find anybody? There you go, direct neural interface. The direct neural interface, colloquially called a skull top, is the basic neural implant on which all neural cybernetics are based. And they go health +2, and they can try to implement more and more, become more and more. You see it right here, Odin Mark 1. The Odin cybernetic eye is a DNA-based cybernetic implant originally developed for military field commanders to supplement their HUD. So as you can see, there are so many opportunities that they implemented here, and they had to do it all via the intrigue menu. I beg of you all, love this mod. Because if they transport this into CK3, we're getting the best space game we ever had. I just said it. I leaned out of the window despite not even being a mod developer. But here's the thing. I really think that is a very like really neat thing that they got going on here, and I really love what they're doing with it. I also love what they are doing when it comes to the laws. You got the central authority, of course, you know, that goes from a coalition to a confederation to a federation hegemony and then a unitary state. But then you also got civil order. This determines what your vassals can do in terms of war declaration. You got a legislature and how it impacts, you know, the crown laws and whatnot, what you can do with it. Then you have different government bodies and how they are appointed and how much they are sort of going towards the central authority. All that sort of stuff is in here. You got budgets and it costs you more, but it also gives you more resistance, for example, against diseases. It gives you tech growth modifier. All of these things that are very granular. I love this mod's intention. I really love it in every single aspect of it. It again looks very weird. This interface clearly not built for this, but that's what this is here for, this video. I'm just showing off what this mod is all about, what you can see here, because I think it is absolutely astonishingly beautiful. The love that went into crafting the world of Victoria, the world of the Terran Confederation as it falls apart, but also the mechanics. Seriously, I absolutely endorse it. And while we create, I know for a fact that while we create our clone, let's just take a look at Captain General Tau of the Terran Confederation. Essentially, the Terran Confederation fell apart, right? And he now leads it, and he's a military leader, as you can see, a military dictatorship. And I know what he will do in the next couple of years. So let's just take a look at this, right? There you go. He declared the Terran hegemony. And with the Terran hegemony, of course, now called out, he has become a bit more direct in his ambitions that are, of course, Terran imperialist. But he won't stop there. Oh, he will continue. And that will show you just how transitional these systems and this mod are. If we just, you know, take a minute here. There you go. We got a baby girl. Ellen, that's the very much wrong name. And she's not even a genius. Ah, yikes. Horrible. I'm at least gonna rename her to, well, Victoria. There you go. And she's awful. But that just means, you know what, let's just make another clone. Clone him, baby. I really love this approach because it gives you so many different alternatives, so many different opportunities to play this game. And in particular also this world, and there you go, he all of a sudden is a Terran Empire. So he just moved authority even further. Now he is indeed a Terran Empire, but he won't stop there, believe you me, it will continue. And we got another baby girl, Ellen. Well, get this name Ellen out of here. Do you think I'm a neo-feudalist? No, I'm a god. There you go, Ellen. Now this is a good kid. I like it. Hello Victoria, how you doing? My new heir. There you go, so you can clone yourself, and of course in this case it's female clones because that's just what Victoria does, and I am a woman after all. But I really like the idea of this entire thing. A tremendous mod. If you haven't checked it out, do it absolutely right now. There will be bugs, there will be issues with the interface, etc, etc, but I'm telling you straight up, this mod has some actually genuinely revolutionary things that CK3 isn't even doing, and CK3 is doing so many great things, but when it comes to governments there is barely any transition. It's still very straightforward in what you're looking at, and I just need this Terran Empire to do what it always does. Nope, don't need that. They got some special events and everything. It's a good mod, like, believe me. As much as I can drone on about the actual, you know, the actual mechanics and how great they are, I can also tell you, if you like look at this for example, and I raise my troops, just look at this stuff. They got this whole system, and again, I haven't fully seen through it. I don't know how many destroyers I roughly need, and you can see destroyers are like really good units, how many destroyers I need to counter, for example, X-fighters. The fighters obviously being quite considerably worse in many ways, but even then they are many more, so I don't actually quite know the numbers there, and that doesn't really become apparent unless you like do a lot of test fights either. And you can see they have their own symbols and everything. This is a great mod. Like, I genuinely am in love with this. I know that this is a mod that is also known, but not as well known as it probably should be, so I simply thought to myself today, hey, you know what, why don't we check this mod out? Again, the color choices, I get it, it's space, it just looks a bit weird. Now, Emperor Tau, are you going to do what you... There you go, he did it. Imperial Cultist. He just called for the Holy Terran Empire. He created his own Imperial cult. I love this mod, I'm just gonna say it. I think this mod is tremendous. Buggy, for sure. UI can be clunky. But the design choices, the basic design is absolutely outstanding. Download this mod now or fear my wrath and play in whatever corner you like. You got some communists over here, colonial separatists practically everywhere, pirates and mobsters also everywhere. These guys are just militarist ship people. These guys are all you know, Terran people, so they want the Terran Republic or dictatorship or monarchy in some sort of fashion. The Pilgrims are just religious versions of that, so to speak. And then we got the Cyberneticists, we got Neo-Feudalists, and of course the Biodirectionists that clone themselves all the time. Absolutely lovely mod. I hope that you will check it out. It's totally worth it. This mod showcase shill video was sponsored, of course, by the members of the channel that are making videos such as this one always possible, namely the Barons, Stefan the Pelted, Achilles, Noah, Eterna, Falling Phoenix, Jacob, the Musielago, Dan, Florian, MFA, Mitchell, Aaron, Stefan, Snywolf, and Trengili. Then, of course, also the Counts, Lachlan, Kazan, Wombat, Thomas, Shifty, and Rex Romanorum. And last but not least, the wonderful Dukes, Eric, Kiriana, Goodfield, Nathan, Jack, Kenneth, Lexo, and Larry Solowing Pixie. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. I hope that you appreciate this mod, that you may have some fun with this mod, and please, God, that this mod makes it to CK3. I need Crusader Star King Clones 3 right now. Later, alligator.